In 1997, a machine beat the world chess champion. Today, AI models can crush grandmasters, but not all AIs are equal, and not all of them can even play chess properly. In this video, we're putting multiple AIs and humans head-to-head across several dimensions: performance and ELO, time per move, and energy usage. When people think about the origins of AI, they often picture chess, and that's not an accident. Chess has been the sandbox for machine intelligence for almost a century. In the 1950s, early computer scientists like Claude Shannon were already writing papers about how a machine could play perfect chess. The idea was simple: brute force calculation. Check every move, then every counter move, evaluate the entire tree of possibilities. But the computers back then were nowhere near powerful enough. Fast forward to 1997. IBM's Deep Blue becomes the first machine to defeat the reigning world champion, Garry Kasparov. It wasn't creative, and it didn't understand chess in any human sense, but it calculated millions of positions per second, far more than any human ever could. Since then, chess engines have evolved far beyond brute force. Modern engines like Stockfish combine raw calculation with an evaluation function, basically a giant table of patterns and heuristics that tells them which positions are good or bad. And then, in 2017, AlphaZero changed the game completely. Instead of analyzing millions of human games or hard-coded rules, AlphaZero learned entirely from scratch through self-play. No openings, no endgame knowledge, no human data. Just trial and error billions of times over. It didn't take long before AlphaZero was beating Stockfish in matches and producing some of the most beautiful, attacking, creative chess ever seen. Today we have multiple forms of chess AI: traditional engines, neural network engines like Leela Zero, and now something very different: language models. So here's the big question: why can an AI model like ChatGPT talk so eloquently about chess, but still play like a beginner sometimes? It's because chess engines and language models are two completely different species of AI. Chess engines like Stockfish or AlphaZero are purpose-built. They operate on a concrete, well-defined game with strict rules. They calculate, evaluate, and search. They think in tree structures, probabilities, and position scoring, with every move they make following the laws of chess. Language models, on the other hand, aren't built to think about chess. They're built to predict text. When ChatGPT gives you a move, it's not internally simulating a chessboard the way Stockfish does. It's predicting what a reasonable chess move looks like based on patterns in the data it was trained on. And if that data includes some incorrect examples, or if the prompt is ambiguous, it might produce moves that are illegal, contradictory, or just bizarre. So when we compare LLMs to chess engines, we're really comparing apples to spaceships. One designed to produce coherent sentences, and the other is designed to play perfect chess. And that becomes very important when we compare performance across the rest of the video. When we say AI versus humans, we aren't talking about just one kind of AI or human. Now, there are many different AI models that can be used in chess, and significant variation among human individuals, all with varying levels of performance. ChatGPT and Copilot are large language models. They can describe openings, analyze ideas, and even impersonate a grandmaster, but when it comes to actually playing chess, it's very inconsistent. It can make brilliant-sounding plans with one move and blatantly break the rules in the next. However, one brave soul by the name of Dmitry Brereton attempted to estimate the ELO, or chess rating, of ChatGPT 3.5. He fed the prompt the entire move order in each message so as to decrease hallucinations. He took any illegal moves to be a resignation, and after 19 games on chess.com, it had an ELO of 1409. So LLMs might be compared to a decent human player, which honestly surprises me. Then we have AlphaZero, or more commonly today, its open source descendant, Leela Chess Zero. These are neural network engines trained entirely through self-play. They develop deep, intuitive positional understandings, playing aggressively, creatively, and with almost human strategic fingerprint. Their ELO is estimated to be just over 3,600, which is well beyond any human capabilities. And finally, Stockfish, the reigning king of classical chess engines. Brutally efficient, tactically perfect, capable of evaluating billions of positions faster than you can think of one. Stockfish doesn't bluff, it doesn't get tired, it just calculates, better than anything else ever built. It holds a slight edge over Leela Zero in chess rating, with an ELO of around 3645. And to anchor all of this, we need human baselines. On the human side, we're using 3 rating levels. A beginner around 800 ELO, a club player between 1500 and 1800, and a grandmaster at 2500 or higher. Together, this gives us the full spectrum, from casual human players to the strongest machine intelligence ever made. When humans play chess, time is a resource, maybe the most important resource, and how long a player spends on each move tells us a lot about their understanding. Beginners usually think longer because they're scanning for threats they don't recognize yet. They look at every piece individually, trying to make sure they aren't hanging something. A simple position might take them 20, even 30 seconds to understand. But grandmasters are the most counterintuitive group of all. Their average move time can be lower than the amateurs because their intuition is so refined. They know the best candidate moves almost instantly. Yet when they hit a critical moment, maybe a tactical sequence or a strategic crossroads, they can burn 5, 10, even 20 minutes just making a single decision. In high-level games, a huge chunk of the time is spent on just a handful of moves. So for humans, time per move is a cocktail of instinct, pattern recognition, and panic. The brain decides when to autopilot and when to enter full calculation mode. AIs, on the other hand, don't feel pressured. They don't get tired and definitely don't panic. But depending on the model, they spend time in very different ways. Language models like ChatGPT or Copilot respond almost instantly. They're not calculating a chess tree, they're generating text, so their move time is usually less than a second, limited only by how quickly the model can produce a sentence. Stockfish is the opposite. Its time per move is entirely based on how deep you allow it to search. Give it 1 second per move, and it might reach a depth of 20 or more. Give it 10 seconds, and it'll analyze millions of positions, outclassing any human instantly. Neural networks like Leela Zero or Alpha Zero work differently. They use Monte Carlo tree search, making them much more consistent. Each move takes roughly the same amount of time because they're exploring guided playouts rather than brute force calculation. In practice, Leela is slower per node but smarter per node. It needs GPU power, but the time spent gives it positionally rich understanding that sometimes feels surprisingly human. Energy is a revealing metric. It highlights not only the raw computational power, but also efficiency. Below, we convert electrical energy into dietary calories, or kcal, so we can compare humans and machines on the same scale. I'll show you the arithmetic so you can follow each assumption. Taking an average time per move of 10 seconds, which is a realistic estimate for a typical blitz game, we can calculate the calories burned per move by doing the math pictured, revealing that the human brain uses about 0.046 calories per move. If we treat each move made by ChatGPT as one query, from estimates given online, ChatGPT 3.5 uses about 0.293 calories, over 6 times that of the human brain. But Stockfish is extremely efficient. Stockfish can run on a low-power, efficient laptop drawing only 15 watts while the engine is thinking, with its short per-move thinking window of 1 second. The result is that it uses as little as 0.0036 calories per move. The more power-hungry chess engines like Leela need more powerful hardware to run effectively. Take an RTX 3070, for example. Conservatively assume 150-watt average GPU draw during inference and 2 seconds per move. Leela running on a 3070 with conservative settings uses about 0.072 calories per move. That's more than Stockfish on a low-power CPU, but still less than ChatGPT and in the same ballpark as a slower-thinking human. But before you go telling your friends that humans are more efficient than LLMs or Leela, let's take a look at some assumptions I had to make here. Ultimately, this is a difficult comparison to draw with any accuracy. That's because energy spent per move depends heavily on the hardware in the case of the chess engines, the query complexity for LLMs, and the time control for humans, since they would think longer for each move when given more time. Chess isn't a measure of general intelligence anymore, but comparing humans and AI through chess shows us something deeper. Different forms of intelligence, each optimized for different things. So here's the bottom line. Stockfish is the most efficient, most accurate chess engine on the planet. Trailing close behind, Leela burns more power but plays with this wild, creative style that feels almost human. ChatGPT, well, it's the chaotic cousin. It uses a ton of energy per move and still plays mediocre chess with the occasional hallucination. And humans? We land somewhere in the middle. Nowhere near as efficient as Stockfish, way more efficient than big language models, and the only ones who feel the actual highs and lows of the game we're playing. Engines might dominate the board, but they don't replace the drama, creativity, or fun of human chess. They just make the game bigger. And honestly, that's pretty cool.